Hello, and welcome to this Embarcadero Technologies Data U conference. Now, my name is Anil Mahadev, and I'm the Solutions Architect for Embarcadero Technologies. Today's presentation is going to be focusing on data modeling, source control, demystified. In this presentation, we are going to be talking about the power and the value of securing your data models with source control. So with that, let's get started. Here's a little bit information about myself. I'm the Solutions Architect and a database professional here at Embarcadero Technologies. I have been an active member of the user group community for quite a while. I have participated in the inception and growth of some of these user groups, ranging from the IBM DB2 user group to attending various conferences held by the International DB2 user group and the DB2 user group here in India. I have been a 6-time IBM champion in the area of the data management platform from India. And when I'm not working, I cherish my time by spending a lot of interest in the areas of history. I'm an avid foodie, and I love to play video games on the PS3 and the Xbox. You can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is SQL Server Cowboy, and we will now begin the presentation. So what's the agenda that we are going to be learning today? I want to take you through a series of a hands-on approach towards source control. First, let us try to define what is exactly source control and where does the data modeling security aspect fit into this picture. And also we're going to be focusing a bit on the scenario and walking you through a sample walkthrough through which we are going to be harnessing how exactly you can accomplish this. This will be followed by a Q&A session, and you're most welcome to be asking the questions in the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. So when we hear the word source control, most of the community or the folks working on in this particular area think about software being saved to a particular software configuration management, and then also being able to make changes to these programs or documents, etc. As per Wikipedia, they have gone ahead and given us this particular definition of what exactly source control is. And source control is not new. It has been in the industry for quite a while. But in the areas of data modeling source control, only a few of the providers have been emerging over the years. Now let's talk about a little bit in the areas of data modeling source control. Data modeling source control involves the ability to perform the same aspect of the source code check-in and check-out process like you would do in a typical software development environment. But here we are just replacing the code with the actual data model itself, which is nothing but a file itself. And then what we are able to do in terms of a data modeling source control, we need to consider a few aspects. One is you need to have a clear understanding of the level of security that you would like to enforce in your data model, and who has the rights or the privileges of performing these operations. In this slide, I talk about a typical graphical representation of how exactly a data model source control would look like. Onto your left, if you observe, you have your data model that you're using in your data modeling tool. In the middle, you have the gateway that will have the ability to authenticate and authorize those particular groups of users who want to push these changes into a source control system. And the last image, you can see it's a container. It's nothing but a source control database that would store this information for you. In terms, now let me just go a little bit deep into this. Here in the data model, you can see that we have the entities and the relationships. And each of these entities and relationships are created by their respective data modelers or data architects. Once they come to the middle layer of the gateway, they will be authenticated based on their username, and they'll be authorized as well based on what changes he or she can perform. And finally, once those changes are done, they are put into the source control database as a final check. Has this ever happened to you? Well, certainly if you've ever been in the database or the data modeling circuit, you'll definitely relate to this, because some of this has actually happened when in some places, and we would not wish for it to happen, but sometimes accidents do happen and we just can't avoid them. But there is a way to to take care of this situation, and you can definitely see this as part of this talk. So with that, let's focus on a particular scenario that we're going to try to accomplish in this session. Our goal is to have the ability to maintain and secure data models. The aspect of maintaining and securing data models will definitely give you the benefit of ensuring that you have the capability of storing these data models in a repository. Next is the ability to synchronize between an active model which you're performing right now, and comparing it with the actual data model that has been stored in the source control. Finally, we'll take a look at how you can implement authentication and authorizations by performing certain tasks. So with that, I would like to take you through a demonstration on how exactly these are performed. So with this, let's open up our tool, and let me give you an overview of what exactly we're going to be doing. Here you can see, I'll just maximize this a bit. We are having a data model that shows all the entities and their relationships here, and this is the logical data model. Here you can see the physical data model that has been generated for the same. Now let's have a look at how we are going to be implementing the source control for this particular data model. So let's go ahead and log in into our repository. You will see that we'll be first having a go at the project center. We will go ahead and create a project for this particular occasion. Let's say the Data U conference project. This will contain the data model for this demonstration. As you can see, already we have a couple of data models. Now let's go ahead and hit on apply and say OK. Now we will go ahead and add this particular data model into the repository. Now in this particular aspect, you will be given a chance to choose where exactly you would like your data model to reside. So here, in the interest of clarity and convenience, we have gone ahead and added this to our DataU conference project. You can edit any of this information that you wish. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So this repository operation, it's going to go ahead and first get all the list of objects from the logical, the physical data models, and it's going to push these changes into the repository. As you can see, the way you can identify is by this lock symbol here. It will give you the indication that this image, this particular data model, has been added to the repository. Now, as per our scenario, we have accomplished the first task. Now, let's go ahead and see how we can accomplish the second task. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and save this as a named release, so that this will enable me to make sure that my data model is not going to be changed. It's going to have a master copy of this particular data model. I'm just going to add some comments. And this particular screen will definitely give you an overview before you actually go ahead and push the changes. And in this aspect, it will give you a more detailed information if you want to drill down. So now let's give this a release. So let's call this a DataU demo release. Demo release. And then let's hit OK. So now let's imagine a scenario that we've gone ahead and we're working on our particular data model. And let's say that we would like to go ahead and add some information here. So let's go back and let's say I'll go to the main data model, and I'll go ahead and add an entity right now. So let's give it a simple attribute definition. Click on OK. Let's go back and edit this. I'll call this as DataU. Right, excellent. So now let's go back and hit save. I suddenly realized that I didn't want to have this in this main data model, but I would like to go back to a previous release. So what we can do is we'll go under releases, and then we'll say get name release. So under this we have the Northwind database. So here we have the DataU demo release. So what we're going to do is we're going to be saving this into a different directory so that we don't have any conflicts. So let's call this as DataU release. correct here. So now we have this as the original copy. And then I decide that I would like to push the changes into the repository. So I'm just going to go ahead and say check in. So here we're going to say a particular comment, added a new entity called DataU. And you're even given an option to review the changes before you actually check in the diagram. So you have this. And even if you wish to, you can even go ahead and generate a report, or if you decide to change any of the comment and just say that added by Anil, for example, click on OK. So now let's go ahead and explore the third aspect and final aspect of the data modeling security section. I'm just going to go ahead and close all this. I'll bring your attention to the security center. Getting loaded. So here's the security center. This is where you can have an entire project or a data model within the particular project at both the logical and physical level to be assigned certain authentication and authorization. At the very root of any source control, data modeling source control, is obviously the repository database. So this is a high level and the one of the most, as you would call as a super user, would have all the access and privileges to this particular database. In industry standards, it's always good to have roles and users being given the ability to perform these actions. We will go ahead and check out some of the next aspects one by one. So we have the manage roles option. Once in this, the manage roles option, we can enable to add certain roles within your organization and have them grant the appropriate level of permission. So let's go ahead and explore this. If you click on the new button, this repository role, you can assign a role name. So let's say CEO. The CEO has access to the entire repository, for example. And here you can give access and the granular level of permissions for the same. So here, since it's the CEO, we'll grant all the permissions. And I'll walk you through how exactly this can be done for individual folks and those in groups as well in a moment. So now that we've applied these changes, let's go ahead and add another role. Let's call this as engineers. The engineering group can modify specific logical data models, for example. So we'll go to the logical main model, and we'll just not give them the option to delete anything, but they can go ahead and create or perform any updates. So let's click on apply. Now the groups section will give you the ability to add multiple users into a group. So for example, in an organization you typically have HR, finance, marketing, sales, IT, etc. So you can go ahead and add a particular group, and then you can assign them. And even if you're having a specific LDAP kind of a scenario wherein you can pull the users into your source control, that also is made possible. The IT group, and we'll add a couple of folks here. Hit apply. If you go under users, we would like to add basically the users whom you would want to have gain access to the repository. Let's call I'm just adding a couple of groups here, users here. So now let's go ahead and apply. Now, at any given point in time, you must have the ability to assign and remove users from a particular group or a particular role. So let's say that we add Beth to the IT group. And then we add, for the architect, we add Lori. And under the data modelers group, we can add Diana. So now, coming back to our repository security aspect, you can see under the available users, we still haven't assigned Beth, Diana, or Lori to any of the available roles. But if you remember, we just assigned them to the particular group, and they are added to the particular roles. And if you go ahead and now add them in terms of giving them access to the data modeling project in question, this is where you would be able to go ahead and do it. Here you can see that if you no access for certain people, if you want to give. So for example, let's say that I'm removed totally under the no access. So basically I don't have any access to this. And then we have, so this basically means that this particular project is off limits for me. And the next diagram, if I see here, I would be coming under the data architect role, so which means that I can have access to all the information. And you can even go ahead and add specific granular level permissions, as I just did, and this will definitely help you in better equipping your organization with the right users to do their job successfully. So let me give you an example. So let me just go ahead and log out now. And I'm going to go ahead and log in. So now if I were to go and say get from repository, you can see that I don't have access to the DataU conference project, but I do have access to the DataU model that is residing outside of the model. Here you can see that if it's already been edited or locally being present, it will create a backup for us, so that if it's in a collaborative environment, we can make sure that nobody else touches it. So here I have access to my models. All right, so that brings us to the end of our overview and demo of the securing your data model through the data modeling security by implementing a repository solution. And let us now take some questions from the audience, please. So thank you once again for attending my session, and looking forward to your feedback, and hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.
Pete asked, why is the default permission set to read, requiring the admin to assign no access to restrict viewing? No access, Anil replies, no access is meant as a best practice in order to give you granular control. Alf asked, how would newly defined users change the password, or is it the admin that always gives the password to users? They can change their passwords in the security section, security center. Sorry. Let's see, in this one, Anil and Ron and Joyce, there's a few more questions. Here's a couple questions from Rob, and I'll turn those over to you, and some other questions. If you're still there, Ron.
Yeah, I'm still here. I believe there is a way to report, but I don't have the specifics in front of me. But I'd have to look into the model itself and see, you know, specifically which constructs we can pull out into a data model report. For the first question.
That was Ron asking, is there a way to report on access granted to models and objects?
Yes.
Let's see, the second question Rob asked, can a particular user profile of access be replicated for a new user?
And that one I am not sure about. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't remember if there's a copy function or not.
What version of Data Architect have the data modeling source code control capability?
Yes, and I'm not sure quite what this is driving at. Typically, people are using the enterprise version with the repository, but if you're using standalone, then it's a little different, because then you need to have a repository to check it into.
Bing is asking how to provide a report to show differences of various releases. What format is the report? Excel, PDF, or something else?
Now, generally, you can go through do a couple of different things. You can actually do model compares, looking at one model version versus another one, and you can see that interactively within the ER Studio itself. But in terms of the actual reports, you can typically push those out as HTML reports. We also have a lot of macros in the tool to pull information out that you can export to Excel or other formats.
Do we need to use ER Studio to manage security? What if my data models are in Irwin? That's from Matt.
Okay, well, Irwin is definitely a separate modeling tool. So if you really wanted to control them within ER Studio, you can bridge the models into ER Studio using the meta bridges, and then you can control it within ER Studio.
Roger's asking, is the only way to keep history of model changes to use save as named release function? Question mark.
At present, yes, but we are looking at ways to make that more granular in the future.
Okay. Raja asked, can the model be created out of an existing database? And Joyce answered, yes, you can do a reverse engineer capability ER Studio, which allows you to take existing database and create a data model from it. Rob asking, can the repository be installed in a SQL Server cluster environment?
I don't believe there are any technical limitations to prevent you from doing that, so I believe you can. Anil has just answered that as well by typing the text in.
Okay, Anil just said the repository database itself can be installed on a SQL Server, but the cluster setup needs to be done by DBA. Okay. Carl, how to deploy development and production models in a shared environment like this? And Joyce says you can create a dev copy of a production environment using the branch and merge capability. There is a presentation on this topic later by Francis McWilliams. Bonnie's asked, asking, can you run global reports? Clarify.
Yeah, I'm just putting something that the reports can be run across on most of the metadata that's available.
Okay. Alpha's asking if Apache or iOS or some web server is needed for the versioning. Is there a migration from Model Mart from Irwin to ERStudio?
I'll type the answer in a second on this one, but verbally, the meta bridges do bridging from Irwin models into ERStudio data models, but there are also options in the meta bridges to pull some stuff out, some information out of the Irwin model marts across as well.
Okay. Umesh is asking, regarding reports, is there any templates for reporting and solution present by default? Can they create new templates and save them for future use for reports?
Hi, this is Joy. I'm just going to pop in real fast. And we have a set of reports that are predefined in the ERStudio tool. And so we do have some reports that you can just use automatically that are preset in the tool. Or we also have the ad hoc reporting wizard so that you can customize a report to your specific needs and save your templates so that you can reuse those for your future use. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
And I'm just typing that in, Joy.
Great, thanks.
Is there support for Sybase ASI
and
Sybase IQ?
I would have to look into the... We'll have to get back on that one. We support a number of things with Sybase, and we just need to look at the specifics.
And Vanny was saying all models, and that Ron answered that. Alpha's using, at moment, the ERStudio Data Architect bundled with Delphi Architect, so he's using the developer edition. Could the versioning tool be purchased separately, or does he have to move to ERStudio to get the repository?
Right now, the repository
He does need to
works.
purchase the full ERStudio suite. Yeah, the repository comes with the enterprise suite. It is not sold separately.
I'm just going to mute Joyce while she's typing. She's typing with purpose.
Yeah, and I'll add to that as well, as if you're using the database tools, there is information sharing through Team Server as well between the ERStudio repository and the database tools repository.
Okay, and I skipped the answer that Joyce put. Somebody, it was Sherry asked, is there going to be any topics on Irwin data model and repository capabilities? And Joyce answered, at this time, the acquisition of Irwin from Computer Associates by Embarcadero has not closed, so we're not doing any Irwin sessions specifically or any product or roadmap presentations until that acquisition is done. So today and tomorrow are focused on the current Embarcadero database tools and technology. But thanks for the question. It's probably Cheryl. Okay.
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, there was that one. I don't know if we answered it. There was a couple from Rob, and maybe we'll have to get back to them. The report on access granted, who's accessing. I thought that was kept in the repository, who was opening up models for data governance, but it's a vague memory. Where can the report be published? Can it be saved in the repository, or is it saved somewhere else, Joyce or Ron?
It depends on which configuration they have. If you've got the entire enterprise suite with the portal, you can publish the reports out to the portal. Other ways you can do it is you can take your reports, publish them as HTML or whatever, and then you can put them up on SharePoint or shared folders or wherever you would like to deploy them.
And Anil chimed as well that just in the base product you can save to your local disk or map drives, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, we're doing pretty good for the first session. Let me check on the time. We start, just a reminder, each session starts at the top of the hour. So regardless of when we finish, we'll start at the top of the hour with the next topic. So, okay, with that, Anil and everyone. Joyce, Ron, Oz, thanks for the first session on the first day of DataU. Neil's email address is there, so if you have additional questions, you can contact Anil directly.